I kind of feel like I like MMOs and I also kind of don't like them. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the reasons why MMOs are kind of problematic to some degree as a gaming genre and why they so often tend to disappoint. First of all, one elephant in the room, I think, is that they always want to be competitive in some way. That's kind of the selling point, that you're going to have a sense of progression and then the promise is that eventually you're going to be a higher level player and you're going to have some sort of bragging rights or higher rank or status or something in the game. However, that's determined really depends on the game. But most MMOs do have some sort of a treadmill where you're supposed to be trying to kind of measure up to other players, and that's how you know how you're doing. The only problem is it's not an equal and fair playing field. So no matter what game it is, if it's competitive, it's not going to be fair and equal. And then that's demoralizing because you'll feel like you can never really catch up to others. Or in the case of a sandbox game like Albion Online, it's just fundamentally unfair. Kind of like gang violence in a seedy part of town. It's fun if you're winning, maybe, but it's not really fun if you're the person that's on the receiving end of a 20 versus 1 gank in the Outlands. So the unfair balance combined with the implied need for competitiveness in the playstyle work together to create a negative player experience oftentimes. Now, the solution to that is to play the game in a casual way. And that's kind of, in some cases, antithetical to what the game actually wants you to do. It's sort of like if you're playing Farmville, if you ever have played Farmville, I think most people probably have tried that game a little bit at some point. The general idea is you're going to grow stuff and you're going to plant your crops and you're going to eventually have a bigger farm. And then you're going to need to upgrade your barn in order to have space for all your crops and all your stuff. You collect all the things you need to upgrade your barn, and then those things take up more space in your barn, ironically. And eventually, you wind up in a continual treadmill where you never have enough space. And maybe eventually you upgrade and you get to a point where you feel like you're in a good place for just a minute. And then you're right back to where you were, chasing that sense that you're not good enough. You're not, where you need to be. So in a game like that, if you didn't want to fight the paywall and you didn't want to fight the treadmill, probably the best thing you could do in the game would be the most boring thing you could do in the game, and that is to just farm a bunch of low level resources and don't even try to level up. Just farm like the wheat that takes a minute to gather and then sell that and make your gold or something. But that wouldn't be fun. That'd be boring, right? It's kind of like that in Albion Online. If you want to make easy, safe money, you can just gather random safe area materials and don't engage with other players really and play solo. And that's not unprofitable, but then people will feel like it's boring because they want more content. But if they look for more content, then that comes with maybe guild obligations or it comes with a risk that ultimately offsets the profit. So maybe you make a lot more money in the game, but you're also going to occasionally lose a lot more. So it doesn't necessarily wind up being a positive in the long run. Or, the other side of it is maybe the play style is different. So if it's a kind of a negative experience and you just want to chill, then maybe the black zone is not a fun experience. So it's a little more interesting in the sense that knowing you might be killed off at any moment in a full loot zone is a little bit more interesting than gathering in a safe area. But it's not really more fun, and then you have to really pay attention to the screen and stuff like that. So all in all, I think that's point number one. It's that when you create an environment that's not conducive to fair competition, and then you encourage people to be competitive, it winds up being a negative experience, even if people have a positive idea of how that experience is supposed to be. The end result is really it's not a fun experience for most people. And then there's something to be said for the fact that people who are toxic will stay, and the people who feel like they were not treated very well will go. And I see that a lot in a sandbox game like Albion Online. There's a lot of players who log in, probably free to play for the first little bit to see what the game's about, and they play for a little while, and then they never really come back because they ultimately didn't have a good experience. And people will just say, well, get good, suck it up, deal with it, whatever it might be. And that's fine and dandy, but it's not like anyone has to play the game. So a lot of people just don't log in again, and then you realize that most of the people you meet in the game, you saw them a year ago and they never came back. So moving on to a few other points I think are relevant when it comes to this conversation about um, MMOs and whether they're fun and whether they're good and what detracts from them. MMOs really want to be a forever game. They want you to um, keep on playing. And the nature of the game's limitations means it is going to be boring. It is going to be insufficient to keep your attention permanently. And that's fine for most games because most games tell you to buy the game, play it for a little bit, and then when you get done with it, just move on to another title, and that's fine and dandy. But in the case of MMOs, they want you to kind of say, okay, this is like a job or a lifestyle or something, and I'm gonna keep my playing ongoing permanently till the game server shuts down or I die, whatever comes first. And so that automatically puts MMOs in a situation where even if they're pretty good, they wind up disappointing people because no game can really be an end all be all for everybody for eternity. It just doesn't really work. You have to treat it like a game, and if you don't treat it like a game, then it's going to be something that gets in the way of you instead of being something that contributes value into your life and your experience as a gamer. Um, there's also something to be said for the fact that they are expensive. And I'm not really saying that they're unaffordable. That's not really what I'm saying because truth is, of all the things that I've wasted money on, and I have spent a decent amount on MMOs, all the other things in life that I've wasted money on, like road trips or eating out or something, are way more expensive than an MMO hobby. You can actually save money playing MMOs because you're sitting there in your living room paying, MMO sub fee versus going out to, hang out with friends at a restaurant or something for $50 or $100 a pop. But at the same time, they are very expensive compared to a lot of other AAA titles where you would just buy the title, pay up front once, play it until you're done, and then move on. And the biggest problem with that is it creates a different attitude subconsciously toward the game. So, because you've invested more money into it, and it's usually an ongoing monetary investment in the form of a sub that's either required or encouraged, it it implies a requirement for commitment, and then it creates a sense of betrayal if you don't want to play right now. So you start to have this feeling of, well, shoot, if I stop playing this game, then I'm kind of betraying my original commitment to it. I'm betraying the franchise. I'm taking something that I said I was going to love, and then I'm not really going to be there for it. It's almost like a relationship, like a bad relationship, maybe, where it doesn't really fulfill all of your needs. It's not really gratifying, but you're there, and you feel like, well, it would be terrible if you were to betray the other part of the partnership there and go your separate way. But a game should not be some sort of a commitment where you feel like you're anchored to it. It's not a marriage. It's not a it's not a career that's paying your bills. It's something that should be adding a sense of curiosity and adventure to some degree into your day. But it doesn't have to be that serious of a thing. And so I think there's a lot to be said for the importance of kind of going into MMOs toes deep, I guess, when it comes to how serious you treat them. Even if it is a game that you're paying a sub for, you don't want to log in just because you feel like you have to. And if you do feel like that's what you're doing, then you might want to just go ahead and, make a mental note to yourself of that feeling, and then make a deliberate choice to step away a little bit. See if you really miss the game. And you can always cancel a game and you can come back. You can always step away, and it doesn't matter if you're paying a sub for it. If you want to do something else with your time, we'll do something else with your time. You don't have to have a set play style that reflects what everyone else says you should be doing in the game. Take Albion Online. I've put a lot of hours into this game, and I like the game. I like it because the economy has a certain level of realism, which intrigues me. And that part of it I think is fun. Even if I think it's a boring, grindy game with a lot of toxic players, I really think it's cool to know that everything in the economy just has a certain logic to it, and it's super simple to understand how crafting works, how the economy works. There's other games that are really cool, but from an economy standpoint, Albion Online really bats it out of the park, because other games, when they have crafting, it just, my problem with them, like games like Elder Scrolls Online, which are wonderful games if you're looking at something like player housing or you're looking at the community as a whole. But if you're looking at the economy, you have this sense of, why is crafting even necessary in the game, in a way, because like you can get weapons that you just dropped, that mobs just dropped, that the game spawned in. So yes, there's a case to be made for, it's necessary for um yep, I'm getting chased by a guy. Thought he was gonna get me. Yep, I'm able to escape anyway. um yeah, but you see, I'm distracted now because I was encountered by another player, and now I lost my train of thought there. um Maybe I should head out of the mists. uh, well, anyway, what I was getting at is just that, different games have different things that are good about them. But in the case of Albion Online, I really like the economy because it feels realistic, and that's that's super cool. But then it doesn't make up for the fact that the game has deficiencies in other ways. Um, so I like the crafting in Albion Online. I like the economy in Albion Online, but I like the community in Elder Scrolls Online. I like the sense of world building and the graphical presentation of the world in Elder Scrolls Online or Genshin Impact. I like the character collecting in Genshin Impact. I like the story in Genshin Impact more than I probably even like Elder Scrolls Online sometimes. But all these different games, I could point something out that I like about them and something that I don't really like about them. And going back to play style, I think it's important to just say, well, what do I have fun doing? So if I have fun in Albion Online, just kind of chilling, running around, collecting random resources while I watch a video on the other screen or listen to an audiobook or something, then I'll just do that. And if I kind of miss Elder Scrolls Online because I like other aspects of that game, then I'll play that game too from time to time, just so I can be part of that community. Doesn't have to be every single day. It's all right to play one more than others. It's all right to say, you know what, I'm kind of bored with all of them. I think I'm gonna, not really play them too much um, for the next little while. Like all of this is kind of fine, and it's just you have to look at the game through the lens of what do you have fun doing, not what do people say the correct way to play the game is. Because there's a lot of people out there that are going to weigh in and say, here's how you do it. And that may not be the play style that brings you a level of fun. And if you keep yourself a little bit distant, so you're not super um, tied down emotionally to the game, then you have the liberty to just say, I'm enjoying it as a game, not as a lifestyle, not as a commitment, not as something that I kind of expect to be an extreme level of immersive realism, not that fantastic promise of meeting all these amazing people that are going to be, role playing like if you took Dungeons and Dragons and made it real or something. Uh, it doesn't have to be perfect to be a good thing. But if you expect it to be perfect, if you expect it to be, I guess, what the advertisement promises it to be, then you're going to spend a lot of time playing this game hoping for it to be that. And then it's not that. And then there's this continual paradox. It's a conflict mentally because you know that what you believe is not really true, but you also don't want to let go of it. So you're permanently dissatisfied because maybe you say, okay, I want to quit. But the truth is you enjoy the game. And then you say, oh, well, I want to go head first in and be really obsessed with it. Be hardcore. But you're not really hardcore, right? And I think there's a lot of power in learning moderation in life. You don't have to be 100% for or against something to see good in it and to enjoy it and to have a balanced mix of different things that you participate in. Now, yeah, there's something to be said for if you always jump from one thing to another and you never give anything time to kind of grow and establish itself, you're not going to have as much fun. And I know I'm guilty of that because I have a lot of games in my Steam library that I have pretty much never played because I get them and then I play them a little bit, but I never really see them through and finish them. That's one of my goals, to kind of finish these titles that I've never really exhausted before I move on to more new ones. But then with MMOs, you have to say there's a limit to how much time I'm going to sink into these. Because there is no such thing as putting enough time into an MMO. You could put 15 minutes a day into the game and have a good experience. And you could put 15 hours into the game every day and still be no closer to being able to say that you've won the game. You have to realize it's unwinnable by design. That's why there's grind. That's why there's all of this stuff put in place to where you can't just turn the game on, play it for a weekend, and then say you're done with it. It's designed to be unending. Have you ever gotten a bag of chips or a bag of candy or something, and then you just eat it, and you keep on eating it until it's gone? You feel like you have to finish it. You can't just eat what you want and then be good. You're going to eat them until they're gone, like a theater box of Skittles. You go to the movie, you're sitting there, yeah, you're going to just eat them. You're going to eat them until the box is gone. And when the box is gone, then you know that you've finished. You've successfully won the Skittle eating contest. And that's kind of how it is with MMOs. Only thing is, it's the endless box of Skittles. And you've eaten them until you're sick of them, but you're still eating them. And you're just kind of thinking to yourself, oh, gee, I'm sick of these. And it's not really good for me, probably. But man, I just want to finish them up. And if you do that, it's not going to be very good for you. And you're never going to really get to the end of it. It's like the guy that reused his toilet paper, like in a, like a loop. And then after a while, he said the crap never ends because it was just on a loop. And a little bit nasty, but it's kind of true. You have to be able to say enough is enough. And that does not have to mean, oh, look at all them owls. That's cool. Man, that's a lot of owls. The owl clan. All right. Not quite sure what that's about, but it's pretty dang cool. Never saw so many players on owls before. But anyway, no. So in conclusion, it should be obvious, but the truth is just have fun. And don't expect one game to be everything for you. Don't feel like you need to walk away from something that you're having fun with, and also don't feel obligated to spend more time in it than you have to spend. And learn to kind of let go a little bit, and then you can alternate between a lot of different things and you can enjoy them. Like I was playing Command and Conquer Red Alert 3, and it's cool. Like it's a kind of an old game. I enjoy it. I enjoy the aesthetic of it. It's pretty cool. It's not going to be a main game, but it's in my library. So why not once in a while play the campaign a little bit, play through it, just have some fun with it. I can be a fan of that franchise without being a lifer in the game, Like these are things which they're hard for us to master because we have a fundamental desire to be completionists. We have a desire to put everything into a bucket and then identify ourselves based on that designation. Like I'm a Elder Scrolls Online fan, or I'm a Albion Online fan, or I'm a whatever it might be. And it's in our nature. And I think being aware of that helps us to maybe let go of it to some degree. And then you can say, you know what? I'm a person that likes a lot of different things. I like World War II history. I like raccoons. I like all different video games. I like writing. I like The Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of different things I like. I like my job. I like other people who I may spend time with in real life. There's a lot of things I like. And I don't have to be defined by any of them in order to make the most of all of them. Whatever you do, have fun if you are gaming. There's nothing worse than the concept of playing a game that's supposed to be fun and actually not enjoying it because you're not playing it in a way that is bringing joy into your life. So a good place to start if you don't feel like you're having a super great balance in your life, take some things out and then just do without them. Like maybe go on a video game fast for a little while and then see what do you miss? What do you really enjoy? When you truly take a few steps back and you say, what do I have fun with? Then do that. And don't let anyone else, whether it's a toxic gaming community or yourself, maybe just in your own way, don't ever let others dictate how you have fun and satisfaction in your personal life and gaming experience. Stuff to think about. In any case, this is the Raccoon Republic, and we are going to wrap this up here as soon as I catch this last fish. I'm going to end the recording. I hope that you have a wonderful and blessed day. Till next time, goodbye.